Hawthorn stakes its claim for the upset of the year. A Lions star bags 6 and a nervous wait for arguably Geelong's most important player. All that and more to come from the round so far, brought to you by AAMI. But Andy Krakouer, great to have you on board tonight. This is a massive result down in Launceston. Alistair Clarkson, he's gone 3 on the trot as he prepares to exit the Hawks.
Pleasure to be here, Mitch. Thank you very much. But absolutely masterclass by Alistair Clarkson to be able to get the win down there. From his 61 games, he's 75% strike rate to win down in Launceston. But to be able to upset the Dogs, it was just a great win.
Absolutely. And it leaves the Dogs a little bit shaky inside that top 4. They'll need to win next week to guarantee that double chance. We were talking about them as potential minor premiers for a couple of for months. So now the pressure comes on the Western Bulldogs. Before we get to them, these are some of the names the Hawks had missing from this team today. James Worpel and Jager O'Meara were laid out, but there's some stars in that page.
Absolutely. You've got Luke Bruce, you've got Dave Gunston coming back in. He's only played one game this year, and he was the best and first winner last year. CJ Giles to be able to come in. So got Sicily as well. So you've got some absolute stars to be able to come back into that side, and Sammy Mitch will be licking his lips with that.
Absolutely. The Bulldogs, they become a bit shaky around the centre clearances, usually ranked 3rd from points from stoppages, but today it was the Hawks doing the damage in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a problem, and Luke Beveridge would be looking over that over the last couple of weeks. They really struggled with that. The teams have been able to hold possession of the footy and been able to work their way through the Bulldogs' defence. But even forward going here, Bailey Smith, you look at him, his opponent is Chad Wingard, and we all know how dangerous he is inside 50. So someone like that, you need to be able to get body on him and not give him no time and space. And there was too much time and space for him there. Last
week it was the Essendon Footy Club who beat the Dogs 10-4 around centre clearances. Today it was 6 again for the Bulldogs, coughing them up. Just this last one here, that last centre clearance, that was huge in the context of the game. 14 points at the final break. And the Hawks were able to take momentum into that last quarter. Yeah, absolutely, Mitch. Chad Wingard as well, 26 disposals with the 1 goal. He was really clean with his ball use as well. And to be able to find Kaczynski, I really liked his game. Kicked 2 goals, 1, but was just a real focal point going forward for the Hawthorn Footy Club. And kicked a really nice goal, as you said. Really important time of the game to be able to, to be able to focus and hopefully get the win there. And it was a really, really important goal. 9 players the Hawks had today, under 50 games. A huge win for them. The Saturday star is Daniel Howe. Just once in his previous 84 games, he's had 30 disposals, but a career high 34 for him today, and a big effort given he's out of contract and needs all the good games he can get. Well, it's a pretty nice time to be able to try and find a bit of form, Mitch. So the 34 disposals, kicked the 1 goal. I think his goal, we're going to be able to see that shortly, but 717 metres gained as well, so was able to carry the ball and use it really well. And to be able to do that, and as we spoke about this goal here, was in the last quarter, to be able to go back, it was a fair way out, really blustery conditions, but to be able to convert, it's a beautiful goal. Absolutely, and a couple of the other unsung Hawks, you look at Tim O'Brien, he's gone back, had 14 intercepts today. John Newcomb, 11 tackles. They'd be loving what they're getting, especially with Sam Mitchell to take the reins next season. Yeah, absolutely. O'Brien, he's probably his highlight of the year. You're known for his absolutely amazing mark he took earlier on in the year, but to be able to go back, 24 disposals, 11 contested possessions, and as you said, the intercept marks as well, they're worth their weight in gold. So the Western Bulldogs, the emphasis comes well and truly on them right now. Crack, our producer Paul Baston has found the magic number to stop the Western Bulldogs. 371 disposals. They had their second lowest today, 346. Just shows on this graphic, as you can see, they're 9 from 10 when they get over that number. And today, just showed that they let the Hawks back into the game when they don't get much of the footy. He's the absolute stat man. So the team next week, that the coaching staff might have to give Paul a bit of a chat just to see how he goes. But teams will obviously be looking at that. If they can nullify that and keep them under that, they know it helps them. It's going to go a good way to be able to get the win. Just 37 points today for the Western Bulldogs, their lowest score of the season by a long margin. What do you think they do now with this forward line? So Jamara missed today, Josh Bruce out for the season with his ACL. I think it starts at the coalface, and really in the last couple of weeks they've been soundly beaten around the stoppages and inside the midfield, so that just gives their forwards opportunity. So if they're able to win it throughout the midfield and be able to get their forwards one-on-one, Norton, we know how much of a one-on-one player he is, and he loves contested possession, so to get it to the coalface and be able to use it more efficiently going forward, and they've really struggled in the last couple of weeks doing that. To the Gabba tonight, and the Brisbane Lions, they made up almost 5% on the Western Bulldogs inside that top 4. They are breathing down the Dogs' neck for the final spot in the top 4. They kicked 11 of the last 14 goals, and tonight, Crack, they kicked 6 goals direct from centre bounce.
Well, as we spoke about just before about the Bulldogs, how important is the centre clearances, and to be able to get clean centre clearances and give your forwards opportunities. Charlie Cameron, as you said, kicked 6 goals, but to be able to kick it to good areas, and to be able to give your forwards a chance. So they did outstanding as an outstanding job.
Absolutely. Look at some of the numbers. Hugh McCluggage, 30 disposals, 11 score involvements, 10 inside 50s for him. Lockie Neal has bounced back and found a bit more of the footy, 30 disposals. Lions, Zorko, a few of these guys are standing up. Absolute stars.
Their midfielders are absolutely beasts. They probably haven't had the best 3 or 4 weeks of footy, but finals are around the corner, and no doubt their coach will be, been drumming in that in their ear, and they have to be able to try to find that form. And it was a great show of that tonight against the Pies.
Boston McInerney, 6 clearances as well. The Lions had 28 more inside 50s on the night compared to the Pies. Charlie Cameron, equal career high, 6 goals for him. Eric Hipwood's gone out of this team. Going to become a big final series for this man.
Absolutely, so much more spotlight onus on Charlie to be able to lift in these big games as well. Obviously, Eric going down is a huge loss, but that was a huge sign of faith, by Charlie to be able to kick his 6 goals, just to be able to go out. I think he had a couple of nice celebrations in there as well, but to be able to go that, he'd be really looking forward to the final series as well.
Here's one here.
Joey Danaher, very nice, just a forward thing I think it is, but to be able to kick, he was All-Australian a couple of years ago, and we all know how dangerous he is as an X-factor as well. He does it in the air, he does it on the ground. There's the other second celebration. I'm not quite sure that one is, but no doubt we'll find it. But he's so dangerous going forward, and someone that the opposition are going to have to put their time into.
Yeah, big watch on Charlie going into finals. As to for this man, Nakia Krakouer played his 4 games now. They've pushed Caden Coleman to half-back. This guy looks like he's going to get his opportunity in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a terrible run with injuries, soft tissue knee injuries, hasn't played at any level since 2018, but to be able to come back and he's finding his feet, the handball there is a beautiful handball, and just to be able to come in at the right time to have a little bit of form, that's what you need. You need a little bit of luck as well. He's had a run of bad luck, so hopefully for his sake and the Brisbane Lions, he can have some good luck.
And the Lions play West Coast next week. If they can make enough percentage up and the Dogs lose to Port, they can sneak into that top 4. That is going to be massive. Time to get to our AAMI clangers next. You love this in the pre-show. Take us through this. What's happening here? Jack Graham back on Friday night. Everyone just stopped.
Oh, the old cliche, Mitch. You got to play to the whistle. They all stopped and he just took off, gathered a couple of metres, got it to Prestia and tried to go inside 50.
The umpire not having too much luck with the bounce, but Mummy's turned back the clock to the Olympics. That's gone to half forward with 2 spikes, a bit like volleyball. This is not how you want to celebrate when the Swans are kicking clear.
No, not at all. Very nice spike by the big Mummy. But no, you'd probably expect a high five, but not a headbutt going into for the celebration. And Zerha, yeah, how good was this? He's looking for the crowd, but unfortunately no one was there. But the trainer, perfect timing, just gave him a little 5, and yeah, perfect timing there from the trainer.
He's complete box office, Cam Zerha, every time. He gets that more on that North Melbourne-Sydney game in just a moment. But down to Geelong, the Cats, they had to withstand a pretty spirited St Kilda outfit tonight. They moved to the top of the ladder tonight, Geelong. They were tested, though.
Yeah, absolutely. The Saints started really well, kicked 5 goals early, and it took until probably 10 minutes into the first quarter for Geelong to be able to hit the scoreboard. But as we know, Geelong, they're a great side, and they're always going to claw their way back, and to be able to work their way back and to be able to get the win was an outstanding job.
Jeremy Cameron here. Just talk us through this one here. This is Patrick Dangerfield. Had a stack of the footy, but this is a really important time. The Cats only up by 2 points in less than 4 minutes.
Obviously, that's the start of the fourth quarter. Ross is his direct opponent here, but just sort of relying on his teammate to be able to create a contest, and gave too much time and space. And cometh the man, cometh the moment. And Paddy just really stood up in that last quarter and took an amazing grab and a really timely goal.
And as you mentioned earlier, 24 contested possessions for Paddy Dangerfield on the night. He was massive. As for this man, Jeremy Cameron, his first game back in 6 weeks. He's done his right hammy 3 times this year. Didn't have too much trouble on the right foot there.
No, he was very tentative going forward there, but more importantly, he kicked the goal. But we all know how important he is to their forward structure as well. Gary Rowan hopefully come back in next week, and it'll be an interesting one to see how Tomahawk goes as well, if he's playing next week or not.
Well, here it is. The biggest talking point out of this game will be Tom Hawkins' nervous wait at the match review. Tackles Darragh Joyce. They're going to look at this for a potential dangerous tackle. He did get subbed out, Darragh Joyce, so that'll leave Tomahawk with a bit of a nervous wait. Yeah,
absolutely. Looking back on it, this is the last little bit. There's a little bit more momentum going forward, and obviously the concussion is the big one. They're going to be looking at it, and Joyce was subbed out of the game. And here's one earlier on in the season where Holman initially got the 2 weeks, and then they overturned it and he was able to play the following week. But that was more momentum. You look at the Tomahawk one, it's just that last little bit. I think there's a little bit more there. So, and obviously the concussion, that's going to come into play.
So much of what Michael Christian grades comes down to impact. The last one we saw there was Nick Coleman. He got 2 weeks for high impact. That was cleared by the tribunal because it was deemed that he was acting reasonably in the contest. There's every chance if Michael Christian's grading the same, Tom Hawkins is looking at 2 weeks with that high impact, but he may well be able to go to the tribunal and get cleared.
Well, hopefully for Tom Hawks and the Geelong Cats fans and supporters, that's the case. But it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a real nervous wait.
Paddy Dangerfield was also put in the book for this incident with Brad Crouch. You'd think he should be okay given he's pushed into this contest by Zach Jones.
Yeah, that's right. The last little momentum. It's hard to stop momentum, and obviously if someone else is going to push you into the contest as well. Luckily, Brad Crouch was able to play the game out, and he didn't come off or get subbed out, and just seemed to be okay.
Now, the big one leading into this game was the injury to Tom Stewart. The Cats have confirmed tonight he's heading for surgery on his Liz Frank. A long shot now that he does play again this season. This is going to be a massive blow to the Cats and their finals hopes.
Yeah, so disappointing. The reports are it's a really innocuous thing going at training as well, something he would have done 100 times taking off, I heard people say today, and he just sets him up so well. He's such a barometer. All Australian form, I think, Tom Stewart's in. He reads the ball so well. He intercepts, he uses it well, gets forward and sometimes kicks goals as well. But beautiful user of the footy. But yeah, no good for the Geelong Footy Club for not to have him in the side going forward, especially finals time. And
potentially a pre-finals bye being scrapped, so finals may be brought forward a week. Mitch Duncan racing the clock with his knee, as is Zach Tui with his hamstring, so a big watch on what happens with the Cats' injuries. This is great to see pre-game crack. We've spoken so much in the last couple of weeks about the stand against racism, the two clubs coming together before the bounce.
Yeah, obviously it's an ongoing issue, but to be able to come back and show solidarity, to be able to stand arm in arm and let everyone know that in the AFL it's not tolerated and in society as well. So it's going to be education. It's going to be trying to help people understand that, to try to change their thought process, and if they're thinking certain ways, and not to say things, but to be able to change how they believe and what they want to say and how they feel as well. So we just got to use our platform whenever these things come up and use it as an education tool. So that's great work from Geelong and the Saints today.
Absolutely great words. To Marvel Stadium tonight. North Melbourne took it up to Sydney. The Swans led this by 38 points in the second quarter. These are some moments from the last term. The Roos came with a bit of a rush. They got within 5 points and put some pressure on the Swans.
Yeah, absolutely. The last couple of weeks haven't been too bad, but the growth and development for the North Melbourne Footy Club is going to be able to have their sustained effort over 4 quarters. And with the good sides, obviously the Tigers, they're down in form, but they got the job done last week. But Sydney, they're going to keep coming. They got absolute bulls around the footy, and they were able to, be able to stand up. Will Hayward is the one I really like going forward. He's able to keep his feet. He kicks goals. He's a beautiful kick the footy as well.
Will Hayward couldn't even get a game in this team in the first couple of weeks of the season. He's come in, provided a great option. No Lance Franklin tonight. We've spoken so much about Parker, Kennedy across their career. You're seeing Hayward here. Ollie Florent bobs up with a goal late. It feels like their second tier of guys are just starting to take a bit more ownership on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you get your opportunity, you've got to make the most of it, and it looks like Hayward has so far. But as you said, the growth and the development from the second tier players coming through, you know what you're going to expect from your Franklins, your Parkers, your Kennedys. So it's these young guys coming through to be able to help and support that as well. So it's going to hold the Swans in really good stead going forward.
Now, Tom Hickey stands at 201 centimetres. He's doing things that Andy Krakouer would have done on the footy field. Take us through this, the one-handed pick-up from the ruckman.
Oh, Mitch, my right hammy got a little bit tight with him just picking that up, mate. But that's a beautiful pick-up by the big man. So did not break stride, didn't need the 2 Mitch, just the one, and thank you very much.
He took it up to Todd Goldstein tonight. 18 disposals, 23 hit-outs. That was a really good battle between the two ruckmen. Nick Blakey has been a revelation in the last couple of weeks off half-back. This is not what you want to see on the eve of finals with this ankle injury.
Nah, it's terrible. He's running carry and dash coming off the half-back line, and his ball use is so important for the Sydney Swans. So to be able to miss him going into finals is a huge loss for them. So let's just hope he can recover and get back for a pre-season, because it doesn't look too good with the moonbird on.
Yeah, all right. Back to Friday night. And Richmond, we can't put a line through them just yet, but they're hanging by a thread. Dependent on other results, their season is all but done. And they were smashed in the first half against the Giants. These are the highest scores they've conceded in the last 5 years. 77 points is not what the Tigers needed with their season hanging by a thread, even leading into the game.
Yeah, that's right. No one wanted to close the door on the Tigers just because how they've been so good. And they've been the hunted over the last 4 years. And GWS kicked seven goals in the first quarter, and starts are so important. And obviously the Tigers, they looked a little bit tired, they looked a little bit lethargic, but there's just the ball use from GWS going forward. Obviously Toby Green out, he's a huge out, but the players coming back in, Josh Kelly came back in, had an outstanding game, but just their ball use going forward, I thought they were just really methodical going forward. They really took their time and really picked the right options, and more importantly, they converted in goals.
Well, last week we praised them for their kamikaze style. That was the word that Toby Green used, that they just took the game on, they smashed it forward to put the pressure on the Cats back line. But as you said, this methodical ball movement, picking apart Richmond, they were able to really pinpoint some marks inside 50. That Tigers defence already missing so many players. David Asprey was a laid out as well. Big week for Josh Kelly. He's on the 8-year extension. He's going to be a Giant for life. And no Toby Green. A big emphasis came on him. But Tim Taranto got pushed forward, kicked 4 goals. Pretty handy ace to have up Leon Cameron's sleeve.
How's that as an A-grade midfielder, just to be able to sneak forward and because just with the game plan, with how it's going, we're going to switch things around and you go and kick 4. So he did so well just to be able to get into some really good spots. He was really good with his one-on-ones and just converted really well. So to be able to have that up his sleeve going into finals, Leon Cameron and the GWS coaching staff will be very happy with that.
And the Giants, depending on other results, they look like they will make the finals, provided they beat Carlton next week. So that is a huge result for that footy club. They've had so many injuries here. We know what happened last year. They lost Zach Williams, Jeremy Cameron goes out of the side. We thought they might have been in a mini reset mode. And just this last one, Shane Mumford's doing that at 34 years of age.
Oh, the big mummy, he's the man. He's the barometer for the GWS Giants. Once he's in, 7-3 when he's in, they win 7 games, 3 losses, and when he's not, they're 3-7. So he's just such a barometer. He's just his presence, around the contest and his leadership, is second to none.
He's spoken about retirement this year. They might have to twist his arm about coming back for another season, maybe as a 35, turning 36-year-old next year. Damien Hardwick, pretty upfront and honest post-game. This is what he had to say about where the Tigers go to from here.
It's been a tough road. 3 out of the last 4 years have been, long, deep in September, then obviously over the last year that we have. And I'm not going to lie, this year's been as hard as it's ever been, I think. And whoever wins it this year is going to have an enormous, tick beside their club. But if our guys do refresh, regenerate a couple of things, get some young talent in and invest in the talent we've already got, I think we'll be reasonably placed to have another crack.
He thinks they're pretty well placed. What do you think? Have they got another tilt in them with this group?
As we spoke about just before, Mitch, they've been hunted for 4 years. So to be able to have that on their back and to be the target on their back and to have that sustained level of performance, it's really hard to be able to do that for a long period of time. So, to be able to go back and probably have a full pre-season, and there's a couple of names here from Noah Bolter, Dusty as well, Nathan Broad, Soldo, Premiership Ruckman, and Hooley as well, who's said that he'd like to go around again. Yep. Got some really, really positive and really amazing players to be able to come back into that side. So hopefully they can just get back and get a full pre-season. It might be nice and refreshing for them. So, and no doubt I think they're still going to be able to give next year a bit of a run. Yeah,
usually they've had 5 or 6 weeks going into finals. Everyone else has had a bit of a jump on pre-season. So let's see what the Tigers can do going into 2022. Adelaide Oval today, so much pressure on David Teague going into this one. The Blues had a stack of laid outs, including Paddy Cripps and Jack Martin. But they kicked 5 of the first 7 goals. They led this, when this happened here, 33-15.
Great start for the Blues, and they would have probably thought it was all right, but then the power actually flipped the switch and kicked the next 19 goals, Mitch. So
19 goals?
That's absolutely huge, consecutive goals, but they did what they had to do. They had to get the win, got some really good form going in the final, so they got the job done.
Charlie Dixon, 4 goals. Fantasia and Bergman bobbed up with 3. Georgiadis, Gray and Marshall 2 apiece. And I'm loving what Carl Amon is doing. He's had 7 clearances tonight. He's gone in, provided a bit more of an inside midfield option, usually seen as an outside player. We see David Teague there on the screen. The Blues external review was handed down last week. It's going to be a big 48 hours coming up for the Blues.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Obviously, there's been a fair bit of talk about what's going on in Teague's future as well, and Alistair Clarkson possibly being available. Spoken about he'd possibly take the year off, but if the timing's right and he wants to go on again, he may be an option for the Blues. But a 95-point loss certainly doesn't help.
No, and he hasn't put a line through it yet, Krakouer, so a big watch on him going into next year. Zach Butters, such a crucial player for the Power. This is going to be looked at. Only 90 seconds on the clock. This incident with Adam Sard. Sard comes from the ground, not a great look.
Yeah, just a real brain fade. To be able to be that late in the game and to be able to do something silly like that, where they could possibly, miss next week and possibly finals as well. So, just really undisciplined play there by Butters.
You see Adam Sard here remonstrate with the ball down the other end. You don't see him sort of react like that too much. And he comes from the bench, looks a little bit distressed. So fingers crossed all is okay. Yeah,
let's hope all is okay, and there's nothing too much more to that, but just a silly act of undisciplined act.
Mark Murphy, 300 games, not the way he would have liked to have gone out. 2011, this man was rated the best man in the game by the coaches. The same year you were taking Mark of the Year. It's been a great career.
He's an absolute star. He's an absolute warrior of the AFL and the Carlton Footy Club. There would have been that temptation to be able to go and chase success and go to other football clubs, but he stuck fat with the Carlton Football Club, wanted to rebuild with them and try to create success. Unfortunately, they didn't have a whole lot of success, but I just want to congratulate Mark to his outstanding career.
Absolutely, a fantastic career. He can go off into the sunset knowing he's done his best for that Carlton Footy Club. Here is the ladder as it sits. Only a handful of games left this weekend into the last week next week. Look at the Lions there. They've made up so much percentage. The Bulldogs be pretty nervous there in fourth.
Oh, absolutely. That's an absolute must-win game next week. And, the Lions, if they win as well, they could, the Bulldogs lose, they could slip into fourth place. So there's so much riding on next week.
Absolutely. And you see Richmond, they're still a mathematical chance, but looking like it is up against it for them. Essendon tomorrow, if they beat Gold Coast, they will keep back in touch with the top 8. Here are those games to finish off round 22. You'd think the first two would be pretty one-way traffic. How about this derby, though? The Eagles and Dockers, so much riding on this one.
Yeah, that's right. I think Melbourne will get the job done and Essendon as well, but off sort of last week. But Fremantle and the Eagles, I think the Eagles have won the last 11 derbies, but no matter where they are on the ladder, they're always a tough and spicy contest.
All right, Andy, thanks so much for joining us. We can catch you on Yockeye in the next few weeks. Looking forward to that.
No worries, Mitch. Thanks for having me, mate. Cheers.
All right, we'll see you at the same time, same place here on the Round So Far next week.